Fans of Tom Brady know that the player is no stranger to controversy and fouling on the pitch. And a similar instance occurred recently where the player got penalized for his act during the game. Yep, Brady attempted to trip Cowboys defensive back. After the Buccaneers' wild card loss to the Cowboys on January 17th, Tom Brady was a loser in more ways than one. The NFL also penalized the Buccaneers quarterback $16,444 for trying to trip Malik Hooker, a defensive back for the Cowboys, after Hooker recovered a fumble. As can be seen in videos of the event, Brady appeared to be trying a slide tackle from behind, but he never actually made contact with Hooker. In the most recent episode of his Let's Go podcast, he also commented on the fine, admitting that he had tried to trip Hooker before claiming that he shouldn't be fined for a violation that had never occurred. The irony is that Dallas didn't even get a fumble recovery off of the play. The penalty and subsequent violation were nullified because the play was reverted when officials decided Chris Godwin was down by contact. Brady's criticism of the NFLPA comes at an awkward moment, while his appeal of the fine is still pending. There's no good reason for the union to back a player who admittedly tried to harm another player through a blatant violation. As the player put it, it comes down to meaning versus result. The NFL's evaluation of the situation focuses on the latter of these two, but it was clear that the fans of the sport are heavily leaning against the star. "My God, he really is retiring," said one of them. So yes, the NFL fans aren't exactly feeling bad for Brady. Given the many roughing the passer calls that have gone in his favor over the years, many were surprised to hear that the league really penalized him. One fan tweeted that the NFL should let Brady keep the fine, but disallow him to play for the entirety of the season, while others were surprised that the NFL actually penalized Tom Brady for something. But that sentiment can very well be fact-checked, since there have been multiple times in the past that the star has fouled. So let's go over a couple of those. Starting with the time when the star failed to take the lead in time, the 2015 AFC Championship game. Brady was flagged for intentional grounding on 3rd and 5 in this game. He tried to toss the ball away when the Patriots trailed the Broncos in the 4th quarter and needed a score to take the lead, but he was called for intentional grounding. Because of this error, the Denver Broncos now have a 2-point advantage. The penalty was pricey because it handed them a decisive lead. This was a game-changing blunder that gave the Broncos a significant boost in confidence and ultimately led to the Patriots' defeat. But this wasn't the only time a foul from the star proved to be costly for his team. The 2009 game versus Buffalo Bills was almost identical. The Buffalo Bills had Brady flagged for deliberate grounding in the end zone back in 2009. The resulting safety provided a crucial momentum shift for the Bills. Due to Brady's inability to locate an open receiver in time, the ball went out of bounds inside the end zone. This was a huge misstep that swung the game in the Bills' favor and ultimately decided the outcome. He intended to toss it away, but it went out of bounds before it exited the end zone. Thus, he was called for a foul. They got a much-needed boost of 2 points and momentum thanks to this blunder. The Bills embarked on a 13-point scoring streak to take the lead and never look back, finally clinching the victory. Surely a loss hurts, but there have been times when the star had to pay the financial consequences for his actions as well, and his $50,000 fine comes on top. I'm talking about the Spygate scandal. Of course, Brady was fined $50,000 for not helping NFL prosecutors. In 2007, the Patriots were under scrutiny for allegedly filming the practices of opposing teams. Because of his refusal to help the investigation, he had to pay a heavy fine. According to the findings of the Spygate investigation, the Patriots had unlawfully filmed the practices of other teams in order to acquire a competitive advantage. Tom was considered faithful by his teammates despite being penalized for refusing to help with the investigation, which was now seen as a means of protecting the squad. But now for a fine for rough play. Let's look at the Patriots versus Buffalo Bills game in 2014. Brady paid a $20,000 fine for an illegal hit he made against the Buffalo Bills. He was flagged for a personal foul for slamming his shoulder at a Bills player during the game. Because of the risk posed by the hit, the 45-year-old was penalized financially. The Patriots were losing 7-3 at the time of the incident in the second quarter. Brady was trying to make a play while being pressured by the Bills' defense. 2 sacks later, he was more motivated than ever to make a major play. Unfortunately, he committed a personal foul by throwing an illegal shoulder into the Bills player. This was the heaviest penalty in his professional career up until that time. It served as a timely reminder of the importance of maintaining composure under pressure and playing by the book. Players were reminded by the event that football is a contact sport and that they must follow all applicable laws and regulations. Brady learned from his mistake, and maybe the penalty will serve as a caution to all players to avoid rule violations in the future. The next one is somehow even uglier. It's when Brady abused a match official. Yup, he was fined $25,000 in 2012 for verbally abusing an official during a playoff game between the New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens. When the referees didn't rule in Tom's favor, he was observed ranting at them and making angry gestures. Since Tom Brady showed no sportsmanship or respect for the authorities, he was hit with one of the largest fines of his career. The NFL has zero tolerance for any kind of abuse against referees and takes these situations very seriously. Tom was cautioned multiple times to cool it by the officials, but he continued unleashing his rage. In the end, he was called out for his unsportsmanlike behavior and given a fine. And lastly, the fine that was so huge, it came with a 4-game penalty. Who could forget the Deflategate scandal? This was a $1 million fine for Tom Brady's involvement in the Deflategate scandal in 2015. Tom was accused of knowing about and condoning the deflation of footballs that the Patriots used during the 2014-2015 AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts. The NFL investigated the claims and found that the balls had been tampered with in an attempt to gain a competitive advantage. As a result, Tom was suspended for 4 games and the Patriots were fined $1 million. The suspension and fine were highly controversial, as many people felt Tom had been unfairly targeted and that the punishment was too harsh. But despite the controversy, the NFL stood by their decision and the fine was upheld. Tom eventually accepted his punishment and returned to the field for the 2016 season. He went on to have a successful year, leading the Patriots to their 5th Super Bowl victory. Since then, Tom has become an even bigger name in the football world, and the Deflategate scandal has become a footnote in the history of the NFL. So that was everything about Brady's latest controversial move. See you in the next one.